All right, this tutorial is going to be, well, I'm not sure if it'll be a tutorial. This section is going to be on utilizing the crowd and delegate helper objects. I already have done this. I'm just going to kind of run through this real quick and then play the animation on screen, and I'll end that as the section for the bipeds, where it's animated biped using the footstep and freeform models. And then I will go over to my other file where I've already created the four-footed biped, and I'll show the little differences between that. So this first part, what you're going to want to do is, first off, you'll go into, well, won't be into any menu. You'll need to go to the Create menu, you'll go to Helpers, and you'll find Crowd and Delegate here. Here in this scene, I have 10 delegates set up across a sideways kind of area around here. And then I have one crowd one. And the crowd one controls all of the delegates. And I have a single biped in the scene because I'm going to show the entire thing of how to create it and whatnot. So you select the, one second. All right, you select the biped, and once you select the biped, you have to go over to the Motion tab. When you go to the Motion tab, you're going to be selecting the Motion Flow mode, and you're going to select this icon, which is Show Graph. Like I said, I already did this, but basically, I've created two different walk patterns for my biped in a different file. The first one is walking straight, and the other one is walking in circles. And I added two walking in circles so it's more popular, but it's not at the same time. So walking straight, if we go to the percentage here for my random percentages and my random start clips, this is how the animation will start for all of your characters if you decide to do that. For your percentages, I have the 60% on walk straight. So walk straight will be selected 60% of the time. Walking in circles 1 will be selected 30%, and walking in circles, well, walking in circles is 30%, walking in circles 1 is 30%, which equals a total of 100%. You have to make sure you have 100% in this. Once you have all three of these set up, and I guess I should show that as well. So you'll go to Create Multiple Clips. You'll select your BIP files that you pre-saved, which are basically these animation files for your biped, which is why it's called a BIP file. And once you have these in here, you'll want to select all three of these on your selection mode. And then you're going to want to run this, which is Create All Transitions. And what that does is basically it creates the arrows that go between each of the transitions. There's an option in there to have it repeat in on itself, and I went ahead and selected that, so each one has the possibility of it repeating back in on itself. After you do the Create All Transitions, you'll want to select at that point the random start clips and set the thing. So when you first click one of these, it'll automatically set it to 100%. You right-click directly on it, and you can set the random start possibility or probability into whatever percentage you like. So if you have like 20 different things that you want them to do, the total just has to equal 100%. When none of these are selected, your Optimize button will not be available. Even if you have one of them selected, it won't be available. But if you have multiple selected, then your Optimize selected transitions is available. At this point, you'd click this button and make sure that it's completely optimized, and the system will optimize it how it sees fit. After that, it's recommended to click the Check All Transitions button, and you want to make sure that all transitions are valid before you continue to the next step. When I was following the tutorial earlier on the web page, because this is the 18 version and the web page was showing, I believe, the 2012 version, the icons didn't match, and so I was having a very difficult time of figuring out how to make the delegates and the crowd all function together with the way the tutorial was showing. After figuring it out on my own for a little while, and I got a little bit frustration and whatnot, today I figured it out this morning, before I made the first video of today, and this is the second video of today. So it shows on the tutorial, if you're on Autodesk's website, that this is the save button where it saves your motion flow. If you don't pay attention, this is the actual save file button that you're going to need to click. It just looks like a regular disk. It doesn't have a little line underneath it. If you click this one, you're going to get stuck in the infinite loop of use path. And when you click use path, it'll say, oh, use path to the MFE section, which is the motion flow section. And if you click use path, it says, do you want to reset your path? And you just keep going in that loop, and you basically can't complete what their tutorial says, unless you divert your attention over to the motion flow tab over here and click save file. Once you click save file over here, then you have the option of being able to save your motion flow files in whatever folder you want. So I have the crowd test already saved in here, and so I'm not going to save it a second time. But once that is created, then you will close this. You will make sure that you're selected on the biped, and you want to click the biped and shift drag it. It doesn't matter where you drag it, in all honesty. And for your number of copies, since I have one copy already on there, I want a total of 9 copies. So I'm going to say that I want 9 copies, and I'm going to call them Human 01 is going to be my starting one. And blah, blah, blah. They all populate. This one is Human as well, but the biped is Bip01 or whatever it started out as. So at that point, you want to make sure you're selected back on the biped. So you click OK. And on this little window, you're going to click the Shared Motion Flow. At this point, you'll click New, because you want to create a new motion flow for this scenario. And then you want to click the Load MFE file, and that's the crowd test that you created in the previous window. And then at the bottom here, you're going to click Add for the ones that share this. So it's going to be the bipeds. I hope I have enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, yeah, I have 10 of them. So you have the 10 of them. Click Add. They all get added into here. Next button you want to click is Put Multiple Bipeds in Motion Flow. Actually, I take that back. Next one you want to click is Reset Wrong Scales Entire Figure, just in case something's off. And it'll automatically fix that. Then you click the Put Multiple Bipeds in Motion Flow. So you click that, and they'll all kind of straighten out, and they'll become bipeds instead of human form. Then click the OK button. At that point, there's a checkbox that appears in front of the shared motion flow. That's very, very important. After that, we go back over to the crowd, and mind you, each of these delegates, when you go here, the delegates, if you go to Modify panel, you can set which biped they use, which I actually have to set entirely again. And you also want to make sure that they're on random start clip, but I'll show that in a second. So for biped 1, I'm going to click this. I'm going to make sure it's selected on biped 1. And then I'm going to go down each one of these. Since they're all using biped 1, it would not function. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that one. And I'm just going to kind of go down this list real quick and then continue on. And you don't want to get confused like I just did. 4, so this would be 5. I think I have 4 objects left. Yeah, I do. Okay. 5. This one. Each delegate has to be assigned to its own biped. If you try to assign them all to a singular biped, it will not function. So you have the option of either making, well, it would be nice if you could make a clone, but unfortunately they only give the option of copying. So, yeah, it is what it is. After you've selected all the bipeds and associated them with an individual delegate, all of those are now selected with delegates. We can go back over to the top over here, and on the crowd section of it, and we're in the modify panel, we have the option up here of biped delegate associations. So we're going to click this, and it says bipeds. So you could technically have done this. So we could just go clear associations, we're going to disassociate that, and then we're going to go back into that menu. And this is the other way of doing this. So we're going to go through here, we're going to hit remove. We're going to hit this, and then we're going to say make. So this one we're going to go remove, we're going to click add, and we can just automatically click all of these. I don't know why human 01 is beneath that, but whatever. And then on this one we're going to click delegates, and we're going to click these and click select. So now we have the delegates associated with the bipeds, and we're going to click associate. And boom, they're associated. Blah, blah, blah. And they should each have their own human whatever section. Okay, it associated how it was up in the thing. So originally I had 01 over here and 00 over in the second one over here. They reversed those around because that's how it was lined up in the thing. Anyway, so you can do it either way. You can either select the delegate and then select the biped, or you can go into the crowd helper over here and use this biped delegate associations section. As for the behaviors, there's a whole list of behaviors that you can make for each delegate. And the life of me, I just spaced. There's that menu. Squirrel. Yeah, I know. Behavior assignments, that's what I'm looking for. So each delegate can be assigned different types of behaviors, and the different types of behaviors will determine where said bipeds go, whether they run into each other, seek each other, or do whatever else. So I've set up several different types of delegates to follow different types of patterns when behaving next to each other. And I did that earlier. So you can go through that menu and do that. That's located right there, the behavior assignments. So what you want to do now is you want to click the multiple delegate editing button. You want to click add, select all of your delegates, not just a couple of them like I just did. Select them all. And at this point you're going to say random start clip and use biped, and you're going to set both of those and apply the edit. And that gets applied to every single delegate. So now if you were to click on an individual delegate over here, it'll say it starts at random, and it'll say use whatever type of biped thing. So that's another way of setting up the biped. Then you go over to the crowd setting over here, and if everything is set up properly, which I hope it is, you'll click solve. And when you click solve, it will basically determine how each of these 10 delegates with these 10 bipeds are going to function in your crowd scene. So I believe I have everything. Yep. So it's going to go through the default shading, and unfortunately I forgot to change that one back from orthographic to front view, but that's okay. And it'll take it just a few seconds to run this through, and they'll all kind of figure out their own little pattern thing. I already have this pre-rendered because I wanted to make this a very short and sweet video versus my long ones that I've been doing. Out of these 10 delegates, we have 60,000 polys, which means there's about 6,000 per biped. And I'm going to wait until this thing finishes solving. And yes, I know this is the model where I didn't do the envelopes on because I separated the model over several different files so I could cover several different subjects at once. The video from earlier today shows me adjusting the envelopes on said characters and adjusting their hands for motion and whatnot for the biped motion and animation with footstep and all that. So now that that's done, the animation would look something like this. And when that gets rendered out, it would be, nope, that's the wrong one. It would be something like this. So this is just a short and simple and sweet little version of the crowd and delegate tools. I obviously did not put a whole lot, well, I put a whole lot of time into it, but I'm obviously not going to go into a massive amount of detail for a small little thing that shows that I know how to do the crowd and the delegate helper objects. So I hope I've been clear enough in showing and demonstrating that I do know how to do this section of this lesson, and I'm going to call that good for the crowd simulation. And then I will be back momentarily, and I will do the creating and the editing of the four-footed biped. And yeah, we'll be back. Thanks. Okay, so on this one I'm going to make a biped, and I'm going to change it into and edit four-footed biped, which is an oxymoron because it's a biped. It's not four-footed. You're basically changing it and making it to where the hands become feet on a four-legged creature. Most of the time when you make four-legged creatures, you're going to use either the cat rig or you're going to create your own bones. But for the purpose of this competency, I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate how to do a four-footed biped. And I'm just going to kind of run through this kind of quickly. There we go. Biped. Click and drag. Let's make it it's going to be a larger creature. I'm going to make it 10 feet. All right, 10 feet, close enough. 10 feet, 0.0443 tall. So my height, if I really wanted to make it 10 feet, I could just set that to 0. Now it's at 10 foot. Done. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and have one finger with a single finger length and one toe with a single toe length. I'll have arms, spine, leg lengths, tail lengths we'll add here in a moment. We're going to make sure that we select the 4 feet option here. And that way our hands have changed into feet. So if you uncheck that, the bone to the finger looks different when you change it. It makes it into a toe bone kind of like those down there. So you can make it into a bone. Anyway, yeah. So we're going to go to motion. Click on structure. And we're going to also have bend links available and copy paste. Now, body posture. You rotate. Well, this guy's not going to let me do that. Okay, I'm on the full biped, and that's why. Okay, rotating. You could rotate like that. It's not going to rotate them all. Of course, it's going to be a pain. All right. Nothing is ever simple with this project, I have found out. I have had to make so many changes with this. So basically, when you select this upper bone, it should rotate everybody. Yes. You want to make sure, though, that your pelvis does rotate with your biped, because if it doesn't, your animation looks really weird. And then realign it, of course. So, your leg bone, you want to... reminds me of the song, but I'm not going to sing it. Anyway, yeah. Squirrel. Okay, biped. Go to structure. Let's see. We're going to stay with skeleton. So let's see. The leg lengths, I want 4 leg lengths, which changes it and gives me a 4th one down here. I could add 4 total. And I'm just going to kind of select both of them. Select both of them. I'm going to push this up. And I'm going to push this one back. Nope, wrong one. I want to get both of them so I'm not moving multiple things or having to. If the program will work with me, be wonderful. Okay, so I'll do that. I'm going to rotate it so it's a little bit further back. I want to take this. I'm going to move this. If it'll let me, will not. Select these. Move. One world, aren't I? Okay, so it won't allow me to move that. What I don't understand is I'm able to do things until I start streaming. And then when I start streaming, for whatever reason, it just doesn't want to do it. So, whatever. Let's go ahead and rotate that. Click this side. Make sure you rotate it the opposite way if you want it to face the same direction. Then we're going to select both of these, rotate them. Kinematics or IKs are working, even though I didn't want them to. That's okay though. No biggie, it really isn't any biggie. So basically when you're doing 4-footed animals, you're supposed to be using the toes to set the keyframes. But the keyframes and all that on a biped are just a pain. It's very nice to be able to make the individual pieces into the types of things where they rotate where you need them to go. What am I trying to say? Trying to say is I'm getting distracted by trying to move certain things. Okay. Both of these guys. Increase that length a little bit. And then these. Increase that length. So it matches up with my kneecaps. That way, hand, or whether I want to use just the toe portion of it. For now, I'll just set it like that. So for this one, I'm going to enlarge it a little bit more. The goal is to get the toes all lined up. Okay. I know, it looks really weird, right? Okay, back to the skeleton. At this point, we can add neck lengths. We're going to add a lot of neck lengths. We'll do 10. And then the tail lengths, I'm also going to do 10. Because what must have a neck must have a support for tail. So I'm going to position this down, kind of hangs down because it's got some weight on it. Okay. Then I'm going to select the multiple lengths of this neck. And I'm going to tell it that I want it on the x-axis to spread out, so I have a little bit longer of neck bones here. And then I'm going to, this bone, rotate it up. Next bone. All right, strange creature or whatever it is. In order to make it look somewhat more realistic for the size of it, we're going to increase those. And, of course, increase its head. What I'm doing right there is I'm shrinking the head in the middle, so I don't want to be doing that. So I want to make sure I have this middle triangle one, so everything is the same size. Now, as for these shoulders, I need to adjust these clavicle bones because they don't match up with my hips, I don't believe. At least they didn't the last time. So I'm going to shrink them down. Well, actually, I think I'll extend them out. And this one is, of course, not the X, but instead it is the Z to adjust. Took me a little while to figure that one out, but I figured it out. All right, so we've got this creature thing designed. You can edit the different parts of it if you wanted to. You could go to modify, you could add a modifier list, you could add a edit poly to it. And then you can individually sculpt the head however you see fit to make it however you might or might not want to control this specific thing. So first you don't succeed, try again until you get it. Unless you're not like me, where you have to figure everything out. And you just keep trying, and then you end up running out of time for the project because you put too much time into one thing. Like the face of a character that looks ugly, in your opinion. So instead of focusing on things that you should have focused on, you spent way too much time on it. That's me. Yes, I'm talking about me. Okay. Anyway, you get the idea. You can adjust the head. And then at that point, you can scooch the head down, make it a little bit more like where it's supposed to go, and head moves back and forth. At that point, if you decided you wanted to add horns or something like that to this object, it's suggested that you do a collapse all while preserving it and click yes. Goes into that. Then you can go back to your biped object. Click OK. Go back over to the motion panel. And over here, we will click the ponytail length. So I'm going to add 3 to each side. So if you notice on the ponytail lengths, it added it right in the center. And they're both overlapping and merging with each other. Don't want that. That's not what we're trying for. So I'm going to rotate it, making sure I'm in local, so I have this Z button that I can move separate. And then once that one is moved, I'm going to make sure I select on this first other one, back up on the top, rotate it the opposite direction, and then rotate that around to roughly where I want it. Then I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to make sure that I'm on the move, and I'm going to double click, and it should select that entire region. At this point, I'm going to change it from local back to world, because I want to make sure that I'm moving it only in the direction that I want, not in the entire direction. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. So I'm going to move this over, and then I'm going to move this up. And I'm in front, and this is top view. I apparently had the rotation kind of odd, so whenever you're in rotation, make sure you're in local. That way you're rotating it all the same, the way it's supposed to be. And you can rotate them all at once. If you rotate them all at once, then it bends them at their spots. But if you rotate it on just one node, then you'll rotate the entire structure. So I'm trying to do the entire structure to get it kind of lined up with the other one. And I'm looking at all of my viewports to see which way I want this to go. And I kind of want it to go like that. So I'm going to select this one, and that one's pretty much where I want it. Then I'm going to move this inward, and this one inward. So then on my perspective view here, I can rotate this and see that I have 2 distinct horns. This one's rotated all kind of funky, but what horn is ever in the same direction? We're going to rotate that down and down. And then we're going to do the same thing with this one. Down and then down. So now we can control 2 separate horns or whatnot. If you decided that you wanted to have an additional extra, you would go to the biped, click OK. Go down to the very bottom, there's extras, you can click that. Then you can click Create. And when it does this, you can go to Structure. And at the very bottom here is this little arrow. And basically what this does is it links it to the parent. So I want to tell it that I don't want it stuck to the pelvis of this, I want it stuck to his head. So it's automatically going to move that joint over to that section. At this point, I'm going to take this thing, I'm going to move it because that's not where I want it. And I'm going to make sure I'm in world view. Okay. Move it right there, and I'm going to click local. I'm going to go back to this one and go to rotate. And I'm going to rotate it straight down. Go back to move. Should have kept it on world, but that's okay. Then I'm going to move this down to kind of give it like a little goatee appearance or whatnot. And then I want to make sure I use the X. So I'm going to shrink that down a little bit, move it a little higher up, and then I can add more links to that. I'm going to add 3 links to that one. Rotate it again, bring it back ever so slightly, and then select the other one and do the same thing. So now, this is what this creature skeleton would look like. Originally I was going for like a brontosaurus type of thing, but then I thought, it might be interesting to just kind of make like, I don't know, some strange looking creature. Then you go to toe. You could go to your toes, and you could increase the height and the width of it to make it seem like it's controlling claws or whatever else. And those look pretty good. Okay. Same thing with the back ones. Could do that as well, so that all the toes kind of just line up a little thicker, and then make it as wide as the foot. Same with that one. Tall, thicker, and then I want to bring that out so they match. Okay. So that's the adjusting of a 4-footed, or creating and editing a 4-footed biped. In order to animate this, I still haven't found a tutorial online, because almost everybody's using a cat rig or bone structure in order to, or like the actual bones, in order to manipulate these. I mean, you can technically take the biped, and after you've created the biped, if you wanted to, you could come over here and on this, where did they put that? There's an option here where you can set the structure to be able to see. Might be in footprints. No. Anyway, there is an option to change it from this type of bone structure to having it be a bone, or having it display as another type of thing. But for the life of me, I can't find it right now. It's what happens when you do multiple things on a single day instead of just focusing on the individual things. Okay. Unselect that. Don't think it's mixer. Don't remember where I saw it. Anyway, this is how you control the animation and whatnot. Footprints. It's also accessible down here. Life me, I can't remember where it's at. Display? No. Might be in motion. Well, I'm sure I'll find it again once I stop streaming, because that's what's happened every single day this week. I don't understand why I can't find it now. It's a click and drag drop down menu. It has a kind of sideways looking bend posing thing. Perhaps it's on one of these screens. This was the tutorial I was talking about where I was. Anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and end this video, because obviously I can't find it, and just sitting here and not being able to find it is just going to irk me. Modes and display. There it is. Okay, so you'd click objects, and you could click and hold that. You can switch to bones if you'd like to, and it'll show the individual bone lengths, which is what I was trying to find. And after you do that, you could also click and hold and make it a bone and an object, so you can see both in there. And the lines are kind of just drawn in between, but when you move over it, you can see where the lines are. So with the individual bones, like this, should be able to animate the bones and rotate them and move them how you see fit. And all of that fun stuff. But I like the objects. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and call that a night on the tutorial. So, yeah, once again, thanks. All right, I left a minute pause in there because it took me a minute to find the information I was looking for. There's a modes and display option underneath the biped. When you click the modes and display, you can click this button right here that says Objects, and you can select either the object, the bone, or the bone and the object together. The bone and the object together will show you the bone. If you're kind of like scroll over it, you can see the little line in between it. If you select the bone, you can see the actual bones. And if you select the object, of course, you see the object, which makes it to where it's easier graphically to see all of the bone structure and whatnot. So I'm going to call that good for this video, and thank you.